Live, Good Morning Hampshire, the Pulse. Okay, if you had to tell us, Corey, 3 names to keep a close eye on at this point versus a month ago is likely VP choices for Donald Trump going into the summer here. What can you give us 3?
Let me give you 3 names, Jack, and this is just my own personal belief. And I speak to the president a lot, but I don't want to get out in front of him. I think former Secretary Ben Carson is somebody that the president has enormous respect for. Neurosurgeon, was a Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in the Trump administration, also ran for president back in 2016. Someone who was in New Hampshire last week, Doug Burgum, the current governor of North Dakota, somebody who has 2 terms as a Republican governor. His record is probably not as strong as it could have been from a rock-rib conservative state like North Dakota, but Doug is somebody who has spent a lot of time with the president lately. It's been widely reported, and he's announced he's not running for re-election. And then, look, I know there's been some controversy lately, but I still think Kristi Noem is in the top 3. If you want somebody who, according to the polling data, performs the best in the swing states, specifically in Wisconsin and Michigan, when you add that name to the Trump name on the ticket, she performs outside the margin of error, meaning that Donald Trump then, with her on the ticket, goes and wins at minimum Wisconsin and Michigan if the election were held today. I think if you look at those 3 names, you've got really all Washington, D.C. outsiders, Jack. And part of the reason for that is the polling data also indicates that members of the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Senate in general have a lower favorability rating than Kamala Harris, and that's hard to do. It's very, very hard to do. But, Washington, D.C. is not a place that traditionally goes and solves people's problems. So the polling data says that the electorate, Republican, Democrat, and Independents, would prefer somebody from outside of Washington, D.C. to join the Trump ticket. There's a long way to go. We've still got about 80 days before the convention when Donald Trump is required to make that decision. The vetting is going on, and, let's see what happens. It ultimately comes down to a one-person decision.